absolute emergency video, emergency update, because it is not looking so good for Bitcoin, and we might be on a very slippery slope, actually also for ETH and for the standard markets. I'm going to show you exactly what I mean in this update. We might be in for a pretty big dump. If you like the content, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. Leave me a comment and share this video with your friends if you think that's useful. Without further ado, let's start diving in. Let's quickly first just look at what is happening right now. This is a very local range that we are creating, and I told you in yesterday's update that we had an SFP of the SFP of the SFP. So this is your first initial low. This is the SFP of that low. And then later on we had this SFP, which was actually very shallow. And then we had this third SFP. So that is something that you don't see a whole lot. And now again, price is coming down. And yeah, I'm just wondering how many times can you SFP the SFP? This one actually right here was quite nice. We also reclaimed that point of control and then went higher. And as you can see here on the hourly, we also closed a couple of 1 hour candles above that very important SR flip level. And if I'm going to zoom out, then you can see it, what I mean. That is one high, two highs, three highs. However, on the 4 hour, we constantly closed underneath. But for the hourly, it actually looked good for the closure. Now, I did not get into a short trade from that area, and the reason is exactly the same as with this high right here that we had at that golden pocket and close to the point of control. Whoa, sorry about that. Close to the point of control, is that I had no confirmations to get into a short trade, and the exact same thing was also here. Matter of fact, with the hourly candles that we were closing above, then I went to bed, then we just slowly rolled over. So this in itself actually looks very bearish, but it just had no confirmations on price, on indicators, on anything to get into a short. But only then if you would have taken the 4 hour candles and you would say, okay, we're closing underneath, we cannot reclaim the level, let's take a short. But like I said, that was already pretty late in the session, so it was just not a trade for me, and now it is what it is. Okay, so why are we in absolute danger zone? I have a hard time believing that we can 4-time SFP the SFP. And I also said in the previous update is that we have this area right here that in my opinion is just pure liquidity, and with this SFP that we had yesterday, we did not take out this low, because I said if we would have done that, then I think everything here will be taken out. And what is that? There are weekend lows, Monday lows that are untapped, bad lows on TPO chart. This is just actually very messy, and it was a slow grinding move higher. And I think that eventually, if we are going to take out the low from yesterday, that eventually we will slowly bleed lower and take everything out. That is then also right away this almost double low where we had an SFP of this low of 0.1%. In my book, that is not an SFP. So if we then would zoom out here on the 4 hour, then you can see that actually there's not a whole lot of support. We have I actually need to take the 1 hour because that is more clear. So let's say we're also taking out the low here at 107. Then we need to look to the left to get a better insight of the last support and resistance. All I have for you is then the point of control, which actually is not so nice to take a trade of, but that will be 103,800. Lose that, and there is actually nothing that supports price all the way back to 98,200, and I'm also here having a hard time believing that price would just sweep and then to go higher, because actually you had that kind of price action already right here. So if we are losing 103,800, I think it can be a pretty quick move all the way up to 98, and we'll see how price reacts once we're there. But actually that's starting to look pretty damn bearish. On the daily, and I totally have to support this case for the bulls, just only look at my drawings please, is that you have your high, then you have a higher low, then you have an SFP of this high right here, and then you're making a lower low compared to this, and then here you have your lower high, and now you would say you're again going for a lower low. Okay, so you have your high, your higher low, SFP of the high, lower low, lower high, and now again a lower low. This in itself on the daily is bearish, very bearish, and actually that then also raised the question, are we at the end of the bull market, or are we still having another move up? If I'm just looking here on the daily, you can see that we are absolutely not bottomed out. However, we also see that the money flow is inward curve. The VWAP, that's the yellow part, is also inwardly curved, and here on the momentum wave, no bottoming out signs. So this in itself on the daily looks extremely bearish. Now I have to say with that is that I have been getting caught off guard once before, where I thought this was extremely bearish. Then we had some news, we had 2 fat green candles on the daily in a row, and then this cleared up quite fast. But just as the data that I'm having right now, I'm thinking it looks pretty bearish. Before we're going to look at ETH, I just want to show you one other thing. This is the standard market, the S&P 500. And I said I think we're pretty overextended when we were trading right here, and then we had another move up, and then we had this bar pattern down. You can see here 0.5% down, slow grind up, 0.7% down, here again 0.7% down, and now if we're hitting this trend line, it will be 0.8%. That is for now the target I'm looking at. This in itself is not a market crash. I already said a couple times, I am aiming, or I'm looking for a healthy retracement to the downside, because we're just so overextended. And what I'm looking at is then approximately 6,300 points. Okay, 6,300 points over the next week or two. That will be approximately another 5% from here. Nothing too crazy, because the stock market has gone up, I think, more than 30% all the way from the bottom without any significant retracement. Look at that, 38% from the absolute pico bottom. So is it too crazy to think that we're getting a bit of a move down? Absolutely not. However, BTC is of course very much correlated to the standard stock market. So if we get that retracement, I think we can see a pretty big move down on BTC. Then let's quickly head over to ETH, because this one is also quite important, and I have to say it also looks pretty damn ugly. Let's first look at the 2 trades that I gave you earlier that did not play out. They got front run. We had this sudden move down, this big liquidation, where we just have absolute sideways action, then a liquidation, and as I said, the first short for me would be a back test of this box right here, which is on this entire range, the value area low, that's the blue line, and the point of control, that is a red line. And I said that actually would be the first nice support. If we're getting a big FU, we're finding some acceptance and we're going higher, then I'm looking at the golden pocket and the 78.6 in combination with this trend line. And if I'm zooming out, you can see that we made this huge triangle. So a back test of this trend line would then be a very nice short area. Both of them did not get triggered because we got this extremely annoying price action that we have seen many times already from ETH, which is just absolute sideways, then move down, and then again absolutely sideways. If I'm drawing this out and I'm pulling this here, this was literally your price action, this right here. So it's very hard to trade, because yeah, honestly, we can do anything right here at this price action. Could have gone up, could have gone down. Eventually we're seeing this breakdown lower. A few targets for ETH that I'm looking at since we are now dumping down is first this mega fat white trend line. I'm going to zoom out here on the daily. Actually, matter of fact, let's take the weekly, because it is such a big trend line. That is from a very old all-time high, and then back tested this high right here and this high right here. And if we would get a back test, something like this, and we find eventually support to then go higher, this could be a very nice long trigger to then eventually again go higher. That would be approximately 3,870. And would we go lower even further than that, then I'm still having this local range here in mind, and then I'm mainly looking at this point of control because there is quite some volume at this level. That is 3,650 for that point of control. And if not, then I'm really looking at much lower targets around 3,400, 3,300, but that is still pretty far away from here. It's talking about 17%. Also here for ETH on the macro, actually it doesn't look all too good. As you can see here, the daily not bottomed out, money flowing to the red, not as inwardly curved as BTC on the daily, but also here doesn't look all too good. And of course, when we're talking about market structure, the one compared to BTC, it was not as clean with the SFP, your high, your higher low, and this was not SFP, but then eventually you're creating here again a higher low, then your lower high, and now your lower low. So also here on ETH, your market structure on the daily has changed to bearish, so we need to be very, very careful. If you agree with me or not, please let me know in the updates. Please let me know in the comments. You see, that's how excited I am. I'm just rambling on. Let me know in the comments if you agree or not, and of course also let me know what you think of one of the altcoins, because also this is absolutely dumping down, and I want to know from you once you're down there anyways. Also let me know if you think that the end of the bull market is in, since we're now changing market structure on the daily and the most important crypto coins. Please let me know what you think. Are we getting another move up, or was this it, and is the top in, and are we now moving lower? Guys, please do me a favor. Let's pump up the algorithm. So please like, subscribe, click on the bell, click on all so you don't miss anything. And see you guys very, very soon again in the next one. Bye bye.